Hey folks, welcome back to another Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at Sparta, the struggle for Greece, which is brought to you by Plague Island Games. It's for 1 to 2 players, ages 14 and up, and games generally run about 2 to 3 hours. In Sparta, you take control of either Sparta or Athens in a struggle for mastery of the key city-states of the Greek world. Controlling these cities and great towns are the keys to victory. During the game, you will play cards to place influence and control regions, collect income from your holdings, deploy your forces to raid and siege the enemy, use battle cards to resolve combat quickly, adding exciting events. You also control famous leaders who can level up, improving their skills. Prepare your armies by collecting cavalry, elite troops, and skirmishers, all with fast-playing but historical accurate gameplay and asymmetric player sides. You can play the Peloponnesian War or the Theban-Spartan War, or you can combine the two for an epic gaming experience. In the end, can you gain the most control? Your decisions will decide the struggle. So this truly is a big, expansive game with a lot going on. I'm not going to do a deep dive into rules because this video would be way too long, but the game truly has that command the fate of empire feel to it, as it says on the box. They really have a nice tug of war going on here between the two players. And it is pretty epic for a 2-player game, I have to admit. Now, the thing is that on this board, let's take a look at that real quick. You've got different areas for your land and sea. You've got the advantages that you'll gain. You'll be using markers to show as advantage in battle, so you can use the battle tracker on the bottom of the board to calculate who is winning the battle at that particular time. And then you have the strength of your armies as well in the bottom of the board. And then in the middle, of course, is the areas you're trying to control. And each of those regions has a region reward box that you can earn by having control of that region. And at the top of the board, you have your round tracker. This will keep track of the different phases of the war that you're currently in, along with the cards for all the actions that you can perform and so forth for that particular phase of the war. And you've got 2 sides here, so you can combine the 2 different wars again for an epic overall experience, but you'll just track for each individual war on either side. And the action cards for these wars will also kind of dictate the timing of the game. As you play these action cards on your turn or that round, that will dictate when you finally pass, and both players do so, that will end that particular phase of the war. So those action cards are very, very important. And each player has their own player board along with their own leaders. And these leaders, you have spots for when you deploy armies, what leaders are attached, and when you spent those leaders, as well as if you flip the leader over, that will show when they're upgraded and so forth through the course of the game. You have spots for the different army units. Now, I have the 3D miniatures here, which is the higher end version of the game, obviously, but then they do have for the standard version standees for those particular type of units as well. But these miniatures, even prototype form, look really nice. So definitely give that a closer look. And you've got your treasury where you'll be collecting your money and so forth through the course of the game, using it to spend, to deploy troops and so forth. So that's kind of the basics of what you have for player boards. And then, the setup for this game is variable. You do have cards that are related to the particular war you're playing, and there's several to choose from, and how you can change up the variation of how and where who has control to start the game. Now, like I said, this game is deep, lots going on. There's definitely several steps you should follow as you move through, but let me give you some of the highlights here. First and foremost, they have this really nice guide sheet, player aid, to take you through all the different steps. Right away, you're going to be looking to see who has control of the regions, and then getting those reward boxes, allowing you to get income and well as expand your troops and so forth to give you advantages in battle as you perform sieges and as you perform raids on different areas on the board. And it's all about control, right? So that's the main thing you need to worry about and do through the course of the game. You need to gain that control. Other things you'll be doing before you jump into those action cards and so forth is adjusting your army strength. You can pay to upgrade your fleet. You can recruit, all kinds of different things like that. But every top of the round here, you're going to get 6 new of these action cards. And again, it's going to be related to the different phases. You'll add in new cards as you move through the different phases of the war. Once you've passed and used all your cards, then that brings it into the round, but what it really is the Olympic Games. If you have troops deployed, then you're gonna be doing this dice roll off, which is really fun. And the winner is gonna get talents or favors, which you can use with those action cards to augment their abilities or do more things with them. So it's worth doing, and I like that little aspect. It just kind of ties off the round. So let's just take a little bit closer look at this action phase of the round. I really feel like it's the heart of the game because there's various things here, and you will follow procedure as you move through here, but you have things like resolving raids. You're hoping to get talents, and those could turn into sieges where you start to reduce the influence of your opponent in a region. Obviously, that's something you really want to do so you can gain control. Or you might be mobilizing and deploying troops. Mobilizing is getting them ready. You have to pay 3 coin in order to mobilize them, move them to the middle of your board, and you're going to be assigning a leader. Your player board allows a really nice way to track that as well. Really well done there. Now, when you deploy, then you move it from your board to the world. So those are things you're going to be doing probably quite frequently in order to do all the different raids and sieges that you want to do to gain control. And in this phase is when you'll be playing those action cards. These action cards are really going to be augmenting everything you're doing in this particular phase of the round, but there's various things they can help you with. You might get a battle card, you might get talents that allow you to do various things with the action cards. But the main thing is envoys. You've got greater and lesser envoys that you can send out, but really you're trying to gain control of the city so you gain control of the region. So a single cube is just a single influence, but a disc shows that you control that city. Now, you'll see there's pips above the different ones. You have 1, 2, or 3, so you need that much influence in order to gain control. And envoys are going to help you do that. And not only will envoys give you influence in a region, but they can also reduce influence of your opponent. So envoys are a very big part of what you're doing through the whole course of the game. And then you have battles as well. So battles are really interesting. It's really a matter of numbers and advantages. So you have a tracker at the bottom to take a look at what advantages you have as you move through the course of the game and get different reward boxes and different types of units. You can start to see who has advantage for the land battles and for the sea battles. Sea battles, you can actually increase your ships and so forth by paying the cost through the course of the game, doing that as well. But you're going to be just calculating that back and forth. But then you still have battle cards that you can put into play to augment your advantages and so forth. These cards will definitely help and guide you through hopefully winning those battles. And during battles, you can also upgrade your different leaders, giving them more powers and abilities. Also, you can lose leaders through the course of battles as well. So they are really interesting. Again, like I said, a lot of this game has this big tug of war back and forth. So again, that's just a brief look at the game. I'm not doing a deep dive into rules, but just give you a flavor of what's happening, the things you get to do as you try to move through this world and build up your forces to gain influence in those regions and take control of them. You hope to do so and win the overall war. All right, folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview, and everything you've seen here has been in prototype form. So keep a close eye on the campaign for any changes that still may occur. Now, with that said, this really does feel like you're engaged in this tug-of-war struggle against your opponent. As you gain ground, you lose ground, there's some really nice back and forth, getting the right resources at the right time, expanding your influence and so forth. It really does have some interesting choices, especially as you engage with the action cards and get those battle cards, trying to gain a foothold into areas. But folks, ultimately, if this looks like something of interest to you, I'm sure they'd appreciate your support. So I think that's it from me, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.